We're going to do this in 2 parts. Today, part 1, we're going to kind of do like where half of the problem's already done for us and we have to finish it. And then tomorrow we'll have to do the whole problem, all of it. What does it mean to substitute something?
Switch it.
Switch it? What did somebody else said something? To switch, swap. To change, replace. All really great words. Switch, swap out, change, replace. So if you're in soccer and you have to sub out, what does that mean? You have to switch out. But can it just be anybody?
No.
They just go to the crowd and they're like, hey, we need a defense player. Who wants to play defense? And they take anyone?
No. They already have that.
It has to be someone from your team, and you probably want to switch it out for somebody of the same role, right? Okay, especially if you're like switching out your goalie, you want to make sure you put another goalie in, someone who at least knows. All right, so if I have x plus 3, this is something that we've done before. This is just building in our context. If I say x is equal to 7, okay, this is something we've already done. And I want to find the answer to that. What would I write for my work? What would I replace x with? No. 7. Why? Good, it says x is 7. So 7 plus 3 is now how much? 10. Okay, so we're just switching out numbers for their amounts. Now today when we switch out numbers, we're switching out more than just one number. We're going to be switching it out for an expression. All right, so we have 2 problems we're going to do, but these problems do take up a little bit of space because we have to solve for both x and y. So it's kind of like 2 problems mixed into one. So here's our first example. We have y equals negative 4x plus 12 and the system means we have 2 equations. So that's our first equation. And then our second equation is 2x plus y equals 2. As you finish that, you're going to find 2 highlighters in your bin. There's only 4 highlighters per table, so maybe share with a partner. You're going to need 2, but you can also just switch around with a partner. So you grab one, partner grabs one, and then flip-flop. All right, in this first one, what we know is we know what y is equal to. It tells us that y is equal to negative 4x plus 12. So when I work with my second equation, I can put that amount in for the y. All right, remember highlighters are markers that have one color all the way through. If you have a marker with white on it, that's a whiteboard marker. You might not want to use that one. You're going to want to use one that's all the way colored through. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation. We're going to keep that 2x plus, but now instead of writing y, what did we say is the same thing as y? Negative 4x plus 12. That whole thing is y. So I'm going to highlight that again to show that that is what we did. And in that equation that I took from the bottom, what was it equal to? 2. So we took that amount that y was equal to, and we're just putting it in for the y. Now I have an equation of only x's, so we can solve this equation and find out what is x equal to. So to solve this equation, what's my first step that I need to do on this left side? Yeah, I want to combine the like term, the x's. So I have this 2x and negative 4x. I'm going to combine those together. So what's 2 plus negative 4? Positive or negative? Good. So we have negative 2x plus 12 equals 2. Okay, if you're like, what the heck, what just happened? All we did was we did 2 plus negative 4. And the answer is negative 2, so negative 2x. All right, now it's that nice, cozy autumn sweatshirt that we like to wear a lot. It should feel comfy. We know how to do this. We're going to undo the negative 2 first, or undo the 12? Good, undo the 12. So how would I undo adding 12? Minus 12. If we do it to one side, do it to the other side. Okay, 2 minus 12, negative 10. What do I still have on the left side of the equation? 12 we just got rid of. Yeah, the negative 2x. How am I going to get x by itself without this negative 2? Divide by negative 2. Sure you didn't want to write this problem down before you go? No. All right, so then we have negative 10 divided by negative 2. And what should we get as our answer? Positive 5. Because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. All right, so now we know x is equal to 5. Are we done? Why not? Yeah, what does a solution look like again? A solution is x and y. We know our x. What do I need to find next? The y. Okay, so for my y, I know x is equal to 5. I'm going to switch colors. So use your other color highlighter. Switch with a friend quick. We know x is 5. I have a lot of space to the right side here, so I'm going to just kind of do a line and then do the rest of my work to the right. That way I don't take up a whole page with one problem. I'm going to go back to my original y equals equation. So I had y equals, and it said negative 4x. But what do I want to use for my x now? 5. So it's negative 4x plus 12. In this side, we don't need to solve for y. Y is already by itself. So all I need to do is figure out what this side is equal to. So on this side, would I multiply or add first? Multiply. What's negative 4 times 5? We get negative 20. So negative 20 plus 12. Negative 20 plus 12, we get negative 8. So y equals negative 8. If you want to, if it would make your heart happy to say my y was green, if you want to flip back to your original color, you can. That way you can say, oh, y was negative 8. So for our solution, Which number do I want to come first, the 5 or the negative 8? Why 5? Good. X is always first. It goes X and then Y. So our solution is 5. And then what's our Y? Negative 8. So how many times did we substitute? How many times did we switch something out? What did we switch out first? We switched out the Y. And then what did we switch out in the second part? The X. So we actually end up substituting twice. Tomorrow we're going to substitute 3 times. Today we're just substituting twice. All right, we have one more problem, number 2. Guys, crush that. All right, number 2, we have 2x minus 6y equals 22. Okay, so quick. That's our first equation. But a system of equations has 2, so x equals 2y plus 8. So for today, we're starting off with the part that's already solved. So do we already have an amount that x is equal to or an amount that y is equal to? So what, x equals or y equals? In this one, it's a x equals. Last time, we had a y equals, so we started with y. This time, we have an x equals. So I'm going to use the color I used for x because I like color coding all my things, but you can use whatever color you want. We're going to take what x equals, this 2y plus 8. And are we going to put that in for the x or for the y in the first equation? Y or the x? Yeah, it's what x equals. If it said y equals, we would put it in for the y. But since it says x equals, we put it in for the x. So down here, I'm going to write that 2. Now, it's usually a good habit to use parentheses when we're replacing something. So now we're going to replace that x. How much is our x? What was x equal to? 2y plus 8. Okay, then it goes minus 6y equals 22. So yesterday I talked about how Unit C is a really good review of what we've done. Yesterday was a good review of Unit B. This is a really good review of what we did in Unit A. So now at this point our goal is to solve for y. We only have y's, but we need to get them by themselves. So in order to start solving for y, what's my first step that I would need to do on this one? Yeah, distribute. I have those parentheses. We need to get rid of them. So I'm going to take that outside 2, and we go pew, pew. It's been a while since we distributed, so if you want to, you can write out that multiplying. So we would do 2 times 2y. And what else would we do? 2 times 8. Do I need to do 2 times 6y? Why not? Good. It's not in the parentheses. It's not inside. All right, so 2 times 2. 4. So 4y plus 2 times 8. You have 16. And then this minus 6y just stays. Equals 22. All right, some of you might have skipped that line there with the 2 times 2y. That's fine. If you know how to distribute and you're really confident in your skills, go for it. If you want to work ahead and try and solve this, you can, but you need to double check that you get the right answer before you move on. All right, what's our next step going to be? What? Yeah, like terms. I have a 4y and a minus 6y. So what's 4y minus 6y? What would be 4 minus 6? Negative 2. So negative 2y plus 16 equals 22. I boxed those a little bit, just really lightly. That way I remember what I was thinking when I go to this next step. All right, now it's that nice, cozy two-step equation that all of you are very, very capable of doing. Are we going to undo the negative 2 or the 16? 16. How do I undo adding? Minus. Both sides. So negative 2y equals, what's 22 minus 16? 6. If you need a calculator, that's okay. Our goal is to get to our answer, not necessarily to do all of this in our head. All right, and then how do I undo a multiplying by negative 2? Divide by negative 2. Good. If we do it to one side, do it to the other. And today when you divide in Schoology, you'll see that little division symbol next to it, like this dividing symbol. Either way. So what is 6 divided by negative 2? Six divided by 2 is 3, and then a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So if you worked ahead, double check that you have that answer, y equals negative 3. If you got a different answer, you're going to get a different answer completely in the end. We need to make sure we have that one. All right, I'm going to switch my colors. All right, so I'm going to use green. Y is equal to negative 3. So I'm going to go back up to what my x equals. X was equal to 2y plus 8. That was part of the problem. It said x equals 2y plus 8. So I go to my other equation. And what is my y? Negative 3. Now, technically, you could put that negative 3 back into the equation we just solved and do 2x minus 6 times negative 3 equals 22 and solve it. It just gets more complicated. This one, all we have to do is find this answer. Okay? Those of you that have a tough time doing your germ DOS in your head, you can type that whole thing if you use Desmos calculator. The Desmos calculator is smart enough to know that in the order. So 2 parentheses negative 3 plus 8, and our full answer is 2. All right, so for our solution, is it going to be negative 3, 2, or 2, negative 3? Why 2, negative 3? X is always first. You got it. All right, I know here when I put it in negative 3, I got out 2, so that one was really obvious. Let's just double check it with that first one, just to make sure. A couple of people are writing things down yet. All right, so for our first one, it said 2x. So 2 times, what did we get for the x in our ordered pair? 2 minus 6 times, what's our y? Negative 3. And do we get 22 as our answer? Yep. So it should work for both. All right, that is it for your notes today. I know it should feel kind of simple, kind of confusing. Once we get past the first part of what we're plugging what into,